Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Hitchcock. The kind of movie that Hitchcock is, this Oscar-y, almost TV movie-like, let's have famous actors be these big Hollywood icons type of movie, is not really my favorite genre at all. And I kind of would prefer they just make a really good documentary about the subject that could be probably twice as long as their feature film would be, and a lot more interesting. Hitchcock, which is about Alfred Hitchcock and his wife Alma as they're making the classic 1960 film Psycho and all the trials and tribulations that happen while making Psycho. Psycho is a hugely influential film. You can't have Halloween without Psycho, and the whole slasher genre were really trying to make like a Psycho-esque movie. You know, that's even why they casted Jamie Lee Curtis, the daughter of Janet Leigh. And my nostalgia for that film is not going to make me like another film. Although I think this film has one up on something like My Week with Marilyn, which was about Marilyn Monroe making a pretty forgettable movie that I wish I had never seen. This is about a true classic, which Psycho really is. It's incredibly influential. It was a big moment in Hitchcock's career in American cinema. But this movie, it's so ordinary and so TV movie-ish. There's not much separating this film in theory from like Liz and Dick, the recent Elizabeth Taylor movie Lindsay Lohan was in terms of how they cast it. I mean, this film is full of just stunt casting. You know, Scarlett Johansson as Janet Leigh, Anthony Hopkins as Hitchcock, Helen Mirren as Thelma, his wife, Danny Houston as Whitfield Cook, and Jessica Biel as Vera Miles. It's just all stunt casting, and it kind of like mixes myth with the truth, because I somewhat know the story of Psycho, and looking it up afterwards I was like, oh, that's not exactly how it happened, but it makes for a better story, I guess. It's really just trying to print a very enjoyable kind of TV movie-esque kind of movie. And this film, for the most part, moves very well. It's fairly enjoyable. I was kind of surprised by that, because a lot of these Hollywood biopics don't move very well. They get very overly dramatic. The director of this, who is actually a documentary director, Sasha Gervisi, who also did Anvil, the story of Anvil, he definitely knows how to have a picture flow, and I think that's probably one of the best things about this film, is it moves so effortlessly that you really aren't going to get bogged down by anything, and it's fairly witty, it's fairly fun. It takes itself seriously, but it doesn't really get bogged down by the drama that's going on. And there is very serious things going on between Hitchcock and his wife. Their marriage is not in the greatest place. You know, he has to mortgage his house to make Psycho. He really wants to do something different from what he has been doing, because he feels he's getting older and the public is perceiving him as being this older director. And he does get into those issues, but he does it in more of a lighter, lighthearted way. I'd say this is kind of a light film, but it's actually fairly good at doing that. You don't see that a lot with these kind of Hollywood biopics. It's usually like they don't really understand structure, they're too committed to their subject matter. He seemed to understand how to get the subject matter to work within an actual film. And Anthony Hopkins, I thought, was actually pretty good as Hitchcock, especially like the times where he would do the Alfred Hitchcock Presents things at the beginning and the end of the film. I thought he was like almost exactly like Hitchcock. A lot of times I was like, that's not really Hitchcock, that's just Anthony Hopkins in ridiculous makeup. But he was still an interesting, like compelling, fun character and a great lead. Helen Mirren and Anthony Hopkins have really great chemistry together. They almost feel like a married couple. I could almost believe they were married in real life. Helen Mirren is almost a veteran of playing real life people in movies, and she's actually very good at it. I'd say, you know, if you're ever going to make a movie about some big icon that at one time existed or is still existing, she's probably the perfect person for it. It's really hard to dislike Helen Mirren in anything. She just has such a great presence about her. And Alma Hitchcock, who I've never really been that interested in, suddenly became a very interesting character to me through this film because of her. No one jumped out at me the way Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren did. They really took over the picture. But I think the problem with these movies is they're basically like film books for film idiots. And it's nice to have seen this movie, talk to your friends about what the making of Psycho was, even though you probably don't really know dick about it before you saw this movie and could have cared less about it before. But then, you know, you see this kind of light, breezy film that doesn't challenge you too much, and suddenly you're incredibly interested. In some ways, I like that this is kind of giving a resurgence to a classic film like Psycho. Not that it really needed it at all because it's a classic, and like I don't think Psycho is in danger of being forgotten. In the end, this information is very interesting. If Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren weren't playing the leads, sure, it elevated itself higher than I would have ever thought this genre could, and a genre that I've never particularly liked. And this is probably the best example of that genre I've seen in a long time, and it's way better than things like Liz and Dick and My Week with Marilyn. I don't think this film's gonna live on much past this Oscar season. It's not really that great. It's just an easy, light Hollywood biopic. And now I am interested to maybe read a book or watch a documentary about the making of Psycho, but I much rather would have done either of those things than actually have seen this movie, despite it being kind of, you know, a better version of a pretty stale and forgettable, disposable genre. So if you have seen Hitchcock and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to.